start and see how people filter in. So welcome everybody. I am Stephanie Finn. I'm Executive Director of Winter Film Awards, and welcome to our Filmmaker Education Week. So we have sessions tonight, Ask a Festival Organizer. Tomorrow night we have Producing 101, and Thursday night we have how to create a festival strategy and a PR strategy. So the sessions are free. They're all at about this time each night. So you are definitely invited to attend any sessions. And then if you're local to New York, we are having a party on Saturday in Long Island City that is also free, outside, lots of fun. So we definitely invite you to come attend. So I'm going to take off my nice little share screen here, and there we go. And I will go around the room and ask everybody to introduce themselves, tell us who you are, what festival you're with, all that good stuff. And so I'm Winter Film Awards. I'm Executive Director. This is our 10th year starting this September. Even though we are Winter Film Awards, COVID has made us Autumn Film Awards this year. So that's me. So I'm going just in order for this time. So Mia, you are up. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mia Schneibel. I'm with the Arizona International Film Festival. I'm the Director of Marketing and Development, and I've been with the festival since 2002. The Arizona International Film Festival is the oldest and longest running film festival in the whole state of Arizona. We're going to celebrate our 30th festival next April. We're an 11-day event. We have around 100 films from around 22 countries usually. We've had over 100 countries overall. We're a top 100 best reviewed film festival by Film Freeway filmmakers for the last 5 years. We've been selected as the top 15 Tucson event by the Arizona Daily Star newspaper 2019 and 2020. Best Southern Arizona event by the Phoenix Arizona Foothills magazine 2019-2020. Best number 8 festival, best festival of any festival, not just film, in the state by Best Things in Arizona. And our best program in 2019, and besides films, we have workshops, panels, mixers, music cafes, and our festival and school program where we take filmmakers into the schools to share skills, talents, and culture. And we're very excited that we're going to celebrate our 30th, and our submissions will be opening soon. So I hope you guys apply.
Wow. That is impressive.
Find me under 2 minutes.
Wow. I know. See, you've done this before, I take it. All right, Ida. It's Ida, not Ida. Ida, yes?
Ida, yes.
Ida, you are up.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ida Teresa Miklobus. I am the co-director and the program director at Anchorage International Film Festival. AIFF is the largest film festival in the state of Alaska, and this year we're turning 21 years, and we are really excited because we just wrapped up an absolutely amazing 20th anniversary. Despite it being digital, we managed to create a real sense of community, even being the Corona year, which is really what we at Anchorage aim for. It's the sense of community. We are, one of our biggest goals is to get filmmakers to really come to Alaska and not only experience the festival, but also experience this beautiful state. So some of our prides is that we take all the filmmakers out for excursions. So 2 years ago, right before the Corona hit, we took all the filmmakers out on a glacier hike, which was really special. And it really is those kind of events and those kind of things that helped make like the bonds between the filmmakers. And what's so beautiful is that we time and time again, we see that the filmmakers that meet each other in Anchorage, they keep following each other's career. They keep working on each other's film. They keep rooting on each other, showing up at other festivals. And this is really what is one of our like main objectives with our festival. We are a 10-day film festival. We show about 100 films in all the main categories, but we also have some special ones like late night chills and what the fuck category, which we think are really fun. And part of the goal with those kind of programs is to try to reach out to a younger demography, like younger audiences. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the panel. Excited to meet everybody here.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, isn't it awesome when you have people at the festival that meet up and then start working together afterwards? It's so exciting. Yeah, it's
It really is.
it's
Special.
it's the greatest thing. I know. We get so happy about that. Okay, Paul, you are up.
My name is Paul Marengo. I'm the festival manager. I head up development, and I work on LGBTQ programming for the DC Independent Film Festival. We're here in our nation's capital. We have our festival anywhere from 4 to 10 days, depending on what kind of films we're getting in and what kind of programming that we want to accomplish. We were one of the last festivals before COVID to be in person, and we just had our festival about 2-3 months ago, and it was hybrid. We do a wide span of programming, not just screenings, but most, like most other festivals, we do education, networking events. We tie in the local film community with our programming. So there's a lot of networking between local filmmakers and national and international filmmakers. One thing that we require is that all our films are DC premieres. We live in a city with a lot of niche festivals, so we want to make sure that we are not showing the same film, that another festival has shown, so we can get more audience members in and more interaction between audience members and filmmakers.
That's cool. See, we do the opposite for Winter Film Awards. Since we're in New York City, even if a film is shown in New York is really big. There's no chance, there's just so little chance that anybody's seen the film, even if it's screened here, that we're like, as long as it's not on the internet, we don't require premieres, because the market in New York is really different than DC. There's hundreds of festivals in New York. So
we have lost over time anywhere from 20 to 30 film festivals for various reasons. We live in a city where we are tight knit between Maryland and Virginia in our own film community, but when it comes to film support, it's not supported as well as traditional arts. So we try to really support the filmmakers any way we can, especially bordering 2 other states where we have close ties with film offices and cooperation.
That's awesome. All right, Tracy, you are up.
Hello, I'm Tracy Adlai. I'm the founder and program director for the Valley Film Festival. We are in our 21st year. Our 20th was smack dab in the middle of the throes of the pandemic, but we managed to forge on with live screenings. We did a drive-in for 3 weekends in a row, and our last night, at the very last minute, we went over our curfew of our next lockdown. So fortunately, we shared the parking lot with the police department, and they were very forgiving to us. We do what everyone else has so far said they have done, so I won't repeat it. But excited to be here and learn about other festivals and answer any questions.
Yay. Awesome. All right, Jason, you are last in line.
Last in line, first in your hearts, I hope.
Exactly.
So my name is Jason Brown. I'm with the South Georgia Film Festival here on the campus of Valdosta State University. We're celebrating our 6th year in 2022. Like Paul, our festival runs in March. And so last year we were celebrating our opening night just as the word came out that South by Southwest had been canceled. And you suddenly started seeing the dominoes of all the filmmakers at our opening night party sort of feel the world sort of falling apart. This year we held a virtual festival / in person where we had outdoor screenings. And as I said, despite the fact that it's 100 and some degrees here in South Georgia, in March at 11 o'clock at night, it's still cold. We have a festival. Like I said, we're based here on the campus of Valdosta State where I teach. And the most important part for us is trying to draw and build the film community away from Atlanta. I think you all are familiar that a lot of production is happening in Atlanta, but independent filmmakers happen all over the world in all kinds of niches and all kinds of places. And what we're trying to do is help grow that community and bring people together, both high school and college kids, as well as independent filmmakers. I'm really curious. I'm interested to talk about premieres. We are in a situation where we're just trying to bring filmmakers together and show great films, so we don't have those premiere issues. However, we're located directly between Atlanta, Savannah, and Tallahassee, all of whom have interesting premiere requirements that have pulled films away from our festival. I come at this as a person who's worked in festivals for 25 years now. I teach at the university, and I'm a filmmaker. I did a film a few years ago about John Sayles and his film Matewan, which was shot in West Virginia, and then getting to have the wonderful issues of who owns the rights to that, what can I do with my film now because of the snippets that all of those issues are things that filmmakers run into, and people who are trying to enjoy films that they saw the one time at that one festival in that one place, and now where can I ever see that again? And those are things that we all have to deal with on a constant basis. So I'm happy to answer any questions. As Tracy said, we do all the same stuff that everybody else does: parties and interesting things for filmmakers and education, and this kind of stuff is what we want to see happen all the time. We want to have filmmakers and film festivals work together.
That's awesome. Thank you. You know, it's funny because we were one of the last, I think the last real live event in New York City before the pandemic hit. And we were working with, one of our filmmakers was coming over from Russia and we were going to host this, or they were going to pay for this huge party at a really fancy place. And we were all excited, like this was going to be awesome. And they canceled on us because they were afraid of COVID, and we were making fun of them, like back in the office, like, oh, they're so silly being afraid of this. And we noticed during the festival that we were seeing a lot more people calling in sick than we've ever seen before. And then the following weekend, festivals planned even for the following weekend were canceled and New York was shut down. It was crazy. It was really just all of a sudden. I feel bad that we were making fun of that guy now. So just some housekeeping for anybody. If you have a question, you should have, if you look on the bottom of your screen, you should have a Q&A button, and you can ask a question online, and then I will keep track of that and ask that. But I will get us started. I am a member of tons of filmmaker groups on Facebook, and I see all the time the same questions come up from filmmakers. The biggest one that comes up is, what is the point of a film festival? Why can't I just stick my film up on YouTube and earn tons and tons of money and run right to Hollywood? What do I need a film festival for? So yeah, we're all like, everybody's laughing at that one. So Jason, since you're up, we will start with you. What's the point? Why bother?
You know what? It's sort of, hear a similar question with film school, because I teach at the university. And like, why can't I just take my phone and go, hey, if you can do that, I encourage you to do that. But the issue is that's not the path for most films or film festivals. If you go out and make your first thing and it's amazing, awesome. But for the most part, people don't make the best thing the first time. And what they need to do is do better. And then whatever you've got, unless Sony or Disney or somebody else is going to come in and put a big marketing push behind your film, most people don't hear about your film. The stories, I just did a panel for the local library about cutting the cord and about all these different streaming platforms that you can find content. And the number of things where films that actually got money behind them have now been buried on some bizarre streaming channel somewhere where no one will ever see it again, it's legendary. Festivals are about being able to build audience and connect people with films and ideas, and build those communities. I can't tell you the number of festivals that I've attended and I've seen some great film, and then being able to have somebody else to share that with is unique. As a filmmaker, you may not be going to a festival to make a bunch of money, but as Ida pointed out, you're going to connect with people who might make the next thing. Or more importantly, you might connect with an audience member who wants to see your next thing, wants to support your next project. I don't know about anybody else here. I've got 3 different announcements today about people crowdfunding for their films. And some of them I'm going to support and some of them I'm not. but they're all people that I met at festivals. And there is a ecosystem that exists within this to support that. If we're not getting paid by Disney or somebody else, it's got to come from somewhere, and this is the place.
Yeah, I also like I've been in the theater with filmmakers, and yeah, you could put your film on YouTube and someone's going to watch it on their phone while they're sitting like on the bus somewhere and getting interrupted, and nothing is the same as sitting in a dark theater surrounded by strangers, seeing your film up on the big screen and hearing the audience respond. You're never going to get that on YouTube. It is such a visceral experience that it's very exciting to have that. And I think that in person, in-person festivals, I don't see like YouTube's just never gonna be the same. There's what, like a billion hours of YouTube uploaded every day. Like, who's gonna find your thing? Like, it's gonna be swallowed by cat films. So Ida, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do. It's fun. It's fun. So much fun to be at film festivals. It's 2 days, it's a week, it's 10 days, it's a month sometimes of just swimming in awesome independent films that you're not going to get to see other places. You get to hang out with people that have the same passions as you. You get to just celebrate the magic of film together, which is just really beautiful. And you get to become part of this family, which I think is just really special. As you become a filmmaker who traveled to film festival, you will meet these people again and again, and they become this, I don't know, just this, kind of second, your film family in a sense. But I also want to build on something that was said earlier about just how much better the film almost becomes in the screening room. You also get the opportunity to do Q&A, which is so special when you've put in so much work into your film. There's so much thoughts behind it, so many often dramatic stories behind how it came to be. And as an audience sitting and watching your film, it's wonderful. But to then get that opportunity to meet the filmmaker and to hear those stories behind it, it puts it to a whole new level. And you just don't get that through YouTube. So yeah, festivals. It's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But then there's the other question that shows up all the time on these filmmaker Facebook groups. Why do festivals charge submission fees? Festival managers are obviously all living large beyond all dreams of avarice. They're just greedy bastards. Why are you charging submission fees? So Tracy, why do you charge? Do you charge submission fees? I assume you do. And why? Why isn't it all free?
Well, we do charge submission fees. Everything goes to putting on the festival. We are a all volunteer nonprofit. Nobody gets paid for absolutely anything. So we are all volunteering our time because we are passionate about independent film. And like everyone has said, there is nothing more special than being in a screening room and sitting next to a filmmaker who's seeing their film for the first time on the big screen, or possibly the only time it's going to be in a theater too, because if you are lucky to get distribution, you're going on to a streaming service. You're not getting a theatrical distribution. So this is quite possibly the one and only time you're going to be in a theater. Hopefully you're in many festivals that have theaters and you are being seen all over the place. But yeah, we charge our submission fee, and it goes back to Lemley for our screening room and all the venues, and whatever it is we're doing, that's what pays for it.
Yeah, renting a theater is never cheap. It all costs money. And I've never yet seen a film festival organizer like flying by in their Ferrari on their way to their private jet. Like we're all poor. So Mia, how do you feel about submission fees? What's the point?
Well, one of the points is it helps people that are just going to send you 20 minutes of their dog snoring, not enter your festival. So it's for, if you're going to be a serious filmmaker and submit to film festivals, it shows that you're serious. And again, just like Tracy, we are all volunteer from top to bottom. All the money pours back into the festival. And that's, that's one of the reasons why we have that, to make sure you're serious about putting your film in there.
Yeah, because we've seen, when things are submitted for free, you could get overwhelmed with some interesting work. Paul, do you have anything to add?
Sure. So when we talk about submission fees supporting, the festival, there's a lot of things that money pays for. With DCFF, we use that money and reinvest it in travel for our feature filmmakers to get them to come. So we cover travel, air, host housing, hotel housing when we don't have enough host housing to go around. But also when we do education, sometimes we're paying stipends or fees for educators to come in and do film education. We're paying for events so that they could network, and all our filmmakers are getting, 2 or 3 passes for free where they can take advantage of all these opportunities that, we have to pay for. Tickets only cost so much, grants only get us so far. Corporate sponsors are becoming more and more competitive. So, we rely on a lot of submission fees and individual tickets to pay for a festival. And, Washington, D.C. is extremely costly to do an event. Our venues are costing us $10,000 to $20,000 just to rent, for 4 or 8 days, So it becomes, it's expensive to produce events, let alone all the, different events within the festival itself that have to be covered.
Oh yeah, and you printing and postage and security and you got to feed your staff and insurance and all, like everything costs money. And festivals are not living large. Like the submission fees are really critical. I know in Europe it's a lot easier to get public money for festivals than it is in the US. In New York State, it's you get dribs and drabs at best because there's a lot of competition. Public money is not easily forthcoming, and filling in grant proposals can, well, make me cry. I don't know if it makes anybody else cry, but it's a very unpleasant situation.
Well, in DC, we have one of the largest concentrations of nonprofits. So we're in competition with, associations and trade associations and hospitals and schools and other nonprofits and other arts organizations. And, we have the Kennedy Center and the Smithsonian's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's our competition, for art dollars, so, whatever little we can get from, individual tickets and submissions, that's how our festival gets supported, because, we don't have paid staff and, we don't have paid office and,
Yeah, do any of you get paid? Do any of you pay your staff? Because we're all volunteer also. No, Mia, no. Ida, do you pay? Do you have?
Yeah, we get paid, yeah.
You get paid? Wow.
Wow.
Jason, do you get paid?
I don't, and I don't even get release time. It's just whatever.
Yeah, I have a full-time day job and I spend almost every non-working moment working on the festival. Yeah, we don't get paid, so yeah.
Well, I would like to add that we also have full-time other day jobs. We do get paid. It's not a full.
Yeah, you're not getting paid.
My partner,
You're not getting paid enough to buy a Ferrari then, huh?
No, there's no Ferraris. It wouldn't be enough to live on. We do need to have other jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing real quick? One of the things that I've seen at festivals across the country, and if anyone has a different experience, please tell me. Yes, we're not getting paid to do this, but really the lifeblood of festivals are that all the other volunteers who show up to do little menial things, or it feels like menial things, to tear tickets or to zap tickets or however you want to do that, to screen films that are coming in. There's so many people that do everything that make festivals possible. They get nothing more than getting to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I didn't nail it on the head. This is a family. This is a community. That's what festivals are about. And if you want to be a part of it, that's great. If you know where the golden ticket is and want to skip past all of that, good luck.
There is no golden ticket. Unfortunately, there just isn't. What gets you, I mean, from a filmmaker perspective, festivals will help you make the context you need to keep moving forward. You're not going to get that on YouTube. You're not going to get that, like, I don't even, like, on a Facebook group or wherever else people, like, do people even meet up anymore? Like, it is really the only way you're going to really meet socially people in the industry in a relaxed way and see their work. It is how you get into the industry.
And festivals are just, it's all about opportunities. So
Yeah.
it's opportunities about feedback. It's opportunities to meet other crew members. It's opportunities for distribution. It's opportunities for more education. It's opportunities for, even travel,
Yeah.
and learning about what, filming is in your city, or is it easier filming in your city or the city you're going to, or, it's just all the opportunities for marketing your film that you're not paying for, that the festival is paying for. So it's a lot of opportunities, a lot of networking, a lot of social.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you could wind up with, articles written about your film by the festival. You could wind up with on-camera interviews where you can actually sound good and you can include them as your own marketing. Like,
We actually had our film moderator from 5 years ago. He's a professor at University of Arizona in English. He writes a lot of books. He became friends with a filmmaker, gave him his book. They turned it into a screenplay, and it just got done filming in Italy, and it's in post-production right now. And that happened because of a film festival.
That's so great. I love that. So, okay, so now I'm going through the questions that we always see on Facebook. So the next one is always the arguments about the length of your film, that apparently film festivals all have a specific length of films, and if your film is not that length, you're not getting in. Now, I think we would all agree that as far as shorts are concerned, we have a limited number of minutes, and a really good 8-minute short is going to be easier to fit into the schedule than a really good 42-minute short. But is there a sweet spot? Is there a length of a feature that you will just automatically say, no, we're not taking it? If it's 4 hours and it's fantastic, will you take it? A 48-minute short, is that completely out of contention? What do you think about length? Now, I will say from my end, over the course of 10 years, we've probably seen, I don't know, 8,000 films have come through submissions. And I do know that of those 8,000 films, I can think of maybe 5 times that the judges said the film wasn't long enough. Most of the time, if your film is a 42-minute short, it's because there's 20 minutes that are unnecessary and is dragging. Now, that is not across the board. We've taken 42-minute shorts that were awesome. Every minute was awesome. But from our side, what we've seen with length is that a lot of times it's not that your film is too long, it's that your story isn't as long as your film. But so, Tracy, do you have length requirements? Would you take a 4-hour film? Would you take a 42-minute short? Do you have a sweet spot?
Oh boy, the sweet spot is telling the story in the time the story needs to be told. We too have screened 40+ minute short films. I always feel like if the filmmaker is going to make a 42-minute film, they should just go that extra mile and make it a 60-minute film, or a 65-minute film and make it into a feature. But yes, so we have screened longer form shorts. Fortunately, we have not screened a 4-hour feature. I don't know if we would. I guess it would. It would have to be Dr. Zhivago or something as amazing that would make people sit in a theater in Los Angeles for 4 hours when there are a gazillion other things going on. So I think the longest feature film that has been submitted has been 3 hours, and we watched it. It could not have been programmed. it was inappropriate all around.
I think the longest feature we've shown is probably 2 hours. I don't know if we've ever,
Yeah.
I can't remember ever showing one longer than 2 hours, but definitely in the sort of 88 to 110 minutes range for a feature is most likely from our end. A lot of times when they're longer than that, the story runs out before the movie runs out. Like that seems
sure.
to be, you know, and we've shown 42-minute shorts. We've shown 59-minute long shorts. Like, but yeah, I think I did at one point an average, and it seems to be that between like 8 and 18 minutes is the majority of the shorts we wind up with. But we regularly go over that. I mean, it depends on the film. But do any of you have any hard and fast rules? You won't take a short over a certain length or a feature over a certain length? Will you take a 1 minute feature? I mean, I'm sorry, a 1 minute short.
We just changed our criteria. We traditionally had been shorts needed to be under 10 minutes. Because of that idea, we could play 6 shorts as opposed to one feature, sort of an idea. And we've opened that up. And I don't know that we have, I think we're still going to end up with a lot of 10-minute shorts because they tell the story in the amount of time that holds your attention. But there's a lot of great 20-minute shorts that have a lot to it. But I agree with Tracy. If you're going to do 40 minutes, just go ahead and make a feature. And if not, then probably it should be a 20-minute short because that's how long the story is to tell. I've never been to a festival where I've seen a feature film that couldn't be 10 minutes shorter. I've never done that at a festival. At one festival, but it really was, they were showing the film that was going to play at the theater in the next week. But if you're seeing films at festivals, which generally speaking are from filmmakers that are growing, that are still building their career, or they're still trying to check out their audience, I understand the fact that the films are going to be a little bit longer and maybe a little bit rougher. So you have to be more accepting. I tend to be more accepting of that.
We don't necessarily have time commitments because we look at programming films a little differently. Because when we look at films, we look at, you know, if it's 40 minutes, then we can do a 20-minute pre-reception. Or, you know, if it's only half an hour, we can make it into an hour and have a half an hour panel. So we look at films more as pieces of programming than just the film itself. You know, it kind of depends on what the film is. You know, we had one documentary about a band, so we had the band play for a little while to fit that film block, you know. So we always look at what the story is, what the makeup is, you know. Sometimes it's, you know, who the filmmaker is and what kind of history or background, you know, would they make an interesting panel or, you know, or an interesting Q&A. So, you know, length is just one piece of, you know, the total picture that we look at when we program, not just length. Because we can always add another day, we can always add another, you know, venue, we can always add something else to screen that film. So we don't have those restrictions per se.
Awesome. Now, Mia, you had your hand up. Do you have?
Yeah, our festival director believes that the film should be as long as the film takes. But we've had a 10-second short, we've had a 30-second short, we've had a 59-second short. It was called the New York Minute because it was 59 seconds instead of a minute. We've had a 2.5-hour film. We had Monty and the Runaway Furnace, and that was 33 minutes. And we scheduled that in. You know, our festival director is a brilliant programmer, and he always does the puzzles pieces just right. And he's like, the film has to be as long as it has to be. But like the other panelists said, it depends on what you want to do with your movie. Like if you're going to try to get distribution as a feature, then it better be feature length. If you're going to try to get it on TV, it better be 22 minutes or 44 minutes to get on TV. But if you're just starting out and you're funny, nothing beats an 8-minute funny comedy. That will be slotted. You will have a great festival run with an 8-minute funny comedy.
And we have a question from the audience saying, are genre films like horror and sci-fi less likely to be accepted by general festivals? Or let's see, if so, is it only a quality issue, or do you feel there are branding and strategy issues? From our festival, we have a little bit of everything. So we definitely love getting horror and sci-fi in. And yeah, it's about quality. We accept it if it's, it's purely quality. But the rest of you, you're all basically general interest festivals. So are you more likely or less likely to take a genre film? Tracy.
Sure. It really depends on the story. Everything comes back around to how great and unique the story is, and the quality of the film. And so far, like in the last 5 years, I don't think most films submitted have been poor quality. But we really do, we might be watching the submissions on our computers, but when I'm watching them, I'm looking for everything because it's going to be on a large screen. It's going to be on DCP with sound. I need to make sure that if it's blown up, that it looks good and sounds good as well. So from a technical standpoint, but from a genre standpoint, if the story is good, we would accept it. I won't speak for everyone else, but
I've also seen that audiences are more forgiving if the film is funny, or if it's a horror film, if it's truly scary. Like, acting has to be great on a drama. Acting, if something's really funny, or a really scary film, acting, lighting, like if it's truly funny or truly scary or truly weird, a lot of times some of the other technical things are not as important as they might be for, say, a drama. But Ida, do you have thoughts on genres? Are they? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Go.
Well, in Anchorage, what we've done is that we've actually set up special programs. So we are a festival that shows features, shorts, docs, oh my gosh, my brain. Fiction, we have screenplays, animation, all the standard categories, but we also have what the fuck category, as I mentioned earlier, which is everything weird. It's a bit of a heart child of mine, that program. I love it. We have late night chills, where we have the scary films. We have a children's program, animation program, and we have a Made in Alaska program with the local films. And we also have a category for which is more of a cooperation, where we have Made in Alaska of young people, young filmmakers. So we really look for a mix, and it goes for a lot of what other people have said. If the film is good, it doesn't matter what genre it is. We especially, I have a big soft spot for films with a heart. If I can tell that the filmmakers have enjoyed making the film, that they have something to say with the film, if it makes me feel, it has a good chance of getting in. And I want to also just add that if it's 42 minutes, it also has a good chance of getting in. I don't want to discourage people on that. So I wanted to just mention that 3 years ago, a film won at our festival, which was exactly 42 minutes long. And it was absolutely beautiful, and everybody loved that film. So it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we regularly show quite long shorts or quite short features. It's got to be a good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as I've seen, the only thing that especially general focus festivals love genre films. But if you have genre film, you shouldn't be submitting it to the wrong genre. So if you have a horror film, submitting it to a documentary festival is a waste of your money. They're not going to take it. But general fest love genres, like, because it's something fun. They can do programming blocks around them. Like I think all of us like those. and yeah, so
Well, and the easiest way for filmmakers to save money is when you're on Film Freeway, don't just keep clicking the boxes, do your research.
do your
Look
research.
at the program from the previous years. And if they don't have your genre, then you might, not necessarily, but you might be wasting your money. So like if you were going to submit to the Heartland Festival and you're ripping hearts out in your film, that's not, they're never, it could be the best horror film ever, but they're never going to accept you.
Right.
Because they're all about feel good. So do research before you spend your money.
Yes, that I think in all ways do your research. Yeah, and that brings us to one of the things is how do you avoid festival scams? We've all heard the stories of you know, somebody arrives in Mexico and finds out that there really isn't a festival there, or how do you avoid them? How do you know, what are some of the things that the red flags that say this festival is a scam and you should stay away? Jason?
Well, I think it all sort of starts with what is it you want from your film? What do you want from your festival experience? And if you think that your experience is you need to have somebody who had a film play at Sundance 10 years ago be a judge at a festival, and you see nothing else about that festival other than a couple relative names to it, does that achieve what your goals are? And I don't know what your goals would achieve with a lot of the scam festivals. Your goals should be things like, how do I connect with other filmmakers? If you go on Film Freeway, there's a lot of reviews. Reach out to those filmmakers and talk to them. I've had several filmmakers tell me that they look at the festival circuit as a way to see the country, figure out where you want to go, figure out if that's actually a thing that's possible. If you're not doing any kind of that sort of person-to-person research, if you really are just going through clicking and hoping that your film will play 1,000 festivals, I almost feel like you get what you deserve. But in my mind, as we've said before, this is about community, and there's so many people out there that are willing to help and support you find the ways to get your film the goals that you want out of it. But if you're not talking to people, then that's going to happen. So if you don't have somebody you can talk to, or find somebody else that has some experience with that festival, maybe stay away.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen things where like their notification date is 4 days before their festival start date. That's a pretty good sign that they're not watching your film and it's junk. If they don't have any photos on their website or social media showing like people, or it's always pictures showing the same people, that's probably junk. If they award 700 awards in a year, it's junk. Nobody's going to be impressed with your prize from whatever those things are called. And of course, they're all called something film awards now, which annoys me because we were Winter Film Awards and we're actually a legit fest, but I keep seeing things like East Hollywood Film Awards, and it makes it sound, bums me out. But what are some of the other signs that a festival is junk? Mia?
Well, not junk, but 75% of film festivals don't make it to year 5.
Yeah.
So you might not want to take a chance on year number 1. Check do they have a website? Do they have a program? Do they have a schedule? So a lot of the film festivals, there's a famous one, perhaps in Canada. They accept over like 200 films, but they only show like 16. And like, this is before COVID, this is before online, that at all. They only show like 16, but 200 made it in. And if you want your award, then you have to pay more money. If you have to pay to get your award, well, that's a scam.
Yes.
And again, check the reviews and check the website. Is it legit? If they don't have any social media, they don't have a website, that's bad news.
And their venue, like Film Freeway does make you put on a venue, but anybody could say anything there. They should have photos from last year at real venues. Like, you should make sure that the venue listed as a real venue and that they've done things at real venues before. Like, I see so many junk festivals. It's really, Paul, you have any other like good Things to avoid, look for?
I would just reiterate, just doing your research. I mean, it's going to get a little bit harder because we had a whole year of hybrid or online festivals where you can't do that research on venues anymore. But doing your research, you know, seeing, you know, maybe other filmmakers that were at previous festivals, looking at reviews, and the same thing, website, social media, and, you know, making sure that all of that's updated and engaging rather than just static.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're seeing a lot of online only festivals, but a real festival that went online because of COVID still has a built out website. They still press releases. They still have, you know, stuff. A festival that is online only that never actually does anything isn't gonna have that. So Ida, I saw your hand was up. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to also mention that we filmmakers, we talk. So if there is a film festival that isn't good, I will tell my whole filmmaking community, and as with all of them also. That is another very good reason to go to film festivals, because you get that community. So if you're brand new, it might be a tricky terrain with a lot of minefields first, but once you're in the festival circuit and you have your film festival family, they're going to help you avoid these things later on.
Or you could ask your friendly neighborhood film festival organizer if they have heard of a festival, because they're always happy to tell you anything.
Well, one other option is also to contact your local film office and see if they had any engagement. Our film office in DC works with just about every film festival in the city. They're very supportive, as well as Virginia and Maryland's film offices. So you could literally call them and be like, have you heard of this film festival before? And they will tell you, you know.
Most states have some sort of a source book or listing of film organizations in your state. And they will list more of the prominent festivals, not all of the festivals, but that should help you start figuring out what that community is. I know that we have that here in Georgia, and we had it in West Virginia, and I remember it in Louisiana. There's plenty of places to reach out and find those places to start from.
Yeah, I mean, and generally a real festival is going to have more than just film screenings, right? I think all of us have some education component. All of us have parties. Even if they have to be virtual, there's stuff going on. There's a community built around it. It's not just give us your money and then pay us some more money and we'll give you our ticky-tacky little award thing and you could put your laurels on. Like a real festival has stuff.
Well, can I throw something out there too? I think the better festivals, and I don't mean that in like the top tier or whatever, but the better festivals, it is part of that community in that a lot of filmmakers have to fund through crowdfunding. So if a festival will, you know, let their audience know that you've played there and now you're trying to move on to your next film, you know, there's plenty of places to sort of continue that connection to the audience. You know, I know we try to do a thing where filmmakers where they are streaming later on Vimeo or Amazon or wherever else, that we try to put those links out to connect our audience with those filmmakers as they go on. That it's not a, you know, a relationship, you know, it's not a one-night stand. It's a relationship that we're trying to build with filmmakers and the community.
Yeah, I see all of y'all nodding. We always do that. If someone tells us about a crowdfunding campaign or a release or anything, we are happy to help promote that. Yeah, and it looks like every one of you are nodding. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna jump right in. I'm sure most of you also have just an alumni Facebook group as well, or programming just for alumni. So we do have a private page for our alumni so that they can connect year round and so that they can throw their links up when they are screening in a theater or when their film is being released, or if they have crowdfunding opportunities. So really it comes back to the community that we were talking about from the very beginning.
So, okay, so we talked about how to avoid scams. We talked about length. So now you've got your film, you figured out the festival that you want to submit it to. So what should you be doing to impress the judges? should you send them a pizza, or like, what is the best thing you could do to impress the judges and increase your chances for selection? So Paul, you're up in the center, so you're up first.
As long as the film has a good story, like for us, it's story first, then sound, and then camera work. As a festival manager, that's what we look for, as a programmer. Now, I've marketed and done social media for other festivals before, and my biggest pet peeve is not having any marketing material. I can't market you if you don't have a film poster, or if you don't have stills or anything like that. I mean, one thing that I did for I was a social media manager for the Boston Sci-Fi and for the APA Film Festival. One thing that I did was I would thank filmmakers for submitting their films. And every filmmaker who had a poster got a thank you, because there's their poster, I could thank them, and it was an easy graphic to put up. But if, a filmmaker had no pictures, no posters or whatever, I can't do research when I'm thanking hundreds of filmmakers. I don't have the time to look for a poster for you, so fill out the Film Freeway profile completely, because if we accept you, I go back to that to market you. So I may use your director statement in one post. I may use your picture in another post. I may use your poster in another post. So I'm marketing you extensively, but I need that material. I don't want to have to keep going back to you, and having to wait to get that material. I'd rather be able to just access it and then use it when I'm marketing.
Yeah, for marketing, have a trailer too.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah, but just to, the judges, you're handing a film into the judges. I know from our side, most critical is sound. I think sound might be even more important than story, because a film with a great story and terrible sound, we're not accepting. You're just not getting in, I'm sorry. Like, nobody would, audiences will not tolerate bad sound. They won't. So yeah, I see all of you like, oh yeah, we've got some terrible ones. So what?
I'm just gonna one quick thing. The caveat with that is that when you're screening films, you're screening on your laptop, your tablet, your phone. So it's not always like, sound may not always be an issue. You may need a better copy, and you get that better copy and the sound is much better. I mean, there's a lot of caveats with, how people are screening these days, where the quality when you're screening a film may not be the same as if you're watching it in a theater when you get the final version.
Yeah, but we also get ones where it's just fuzzy. You can't hear them over background noise. The sound goes in and out. One person talks clearly, the other one is clear. It's like, yeah, we've seen, every one of you have seen some just not good sound. Sound is really important, more so than picture, I think. Like I always tell filmmakers, spend your money on sound and the lens and the camera. Like it's not as important, So let's see, who haven't I spoken to? Tracy, anything else to impress your judges? Like what's
well, not to impress the judges, but to impress me, if you can reply to an email, that is great, because I cannot tell you how many times we've sent acceptances out, and then we've had to track down people through every possible outlet out there, and they still don't respond, and then we have to give that spot away to somebody else. So if you are communicating with us, that is possibly the best way to impress the programming team, because we do communicate with our filmmakers throughout the entire submission process. So if you are engaging with us, then we know you're receiving our email, and that's always a plus.
Oh God, yes, I've gone as far as had my sister's boyfriend's daughter, who happened to go to the same college as the filmmaker, go and knock on his dorm door because dude wasn't answering emails. Like, yeah, you have to check the email that you gave to Film Freeway. You have to. Like, everyone, like film festival organizers, like that's one of the things we bitch about the most is that you just can't find the dude. Like, you paid your money to submit your film and then you vanished. So then other questions. So, okay, I'm making a film. I know I want to go on the festival circuit. So what should I be doing while I'm making the film so that I'm ready when I'm going to the festival? Are there certain photos I should have? Is there certain stuff I need? Do I need a website? Do I not need a website? Like, what should I be doing? So Paul, you wind up in the center of my screen all the time. So I picked you first all the time.
So, I also teach film and fundraising and whatnot. And the one thing I always tell filmmakers is that in the very beginning, you should know where your film's going anyway. So distribution should be on your mind before you take the first shot. And when you know that, then you know whether you need, what kind of website do you need, how much social media do you need, all the marketing vehicles you need, so that when you're going along, you're also thinking, well, these would make great still shots. This would be great in the trailer. This would be great on the poster. So that you're thinking about marketing and distribution as you're making the shots, as you're going along with your shot list. Because at the very end, when you're done, it's so much easier because you have all of that already done. So you're not having to go back to do, more shots for a trailer or more photography for poster or stills or anything like that. So thinking about marketing and distribution at the very beginning, before you even take the first shot, it's one key thing that I think that you would need to think about.
And get your copyrights for all your music. Oh, yes. Yes. Do not use music that you do not have the rights to use, because if the festival finds out, they will yank the film immediately. Like, I don't think any legit festival is going to risk getting sued. If we hear that the music isn't legal, we're dumping your film, no matter what. The day before the festival, we'll dump you if the music's not legal.
And not just music, but sites.
Yeah.
Site shots. I mean, for us in DC, that's a little bit more important because of where we are. So it's not just music, but site as well.
To go along with that, though, as a filmmaker, be considerate of the investment that the festivals put into you. Don't pull your film at the last minute for some reason.
Oh God, yes. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, we've had that happen recently. And it part of it came down to, we accepted a film, and then a week before the festival, they were like, well, it looks like we might get into this bigger festival, so we're going to pull our film. And you need to sort of, as Paul said, you need to begin with the end in mind, and you should have that thought out as this is what the path is for my film. And that shouldn't be stepping on top of people or jerking other people around. And this isn't, don't get me wrong, I'm sure everybody else has had that experience where a distributor for a film has come back and told a filmmaker, well, you'd have a better chance of getting a deal if you played this other festival instead of this thing, and they pull a film. But a filmmaker to do that, that's verboten. And as Ida said, we talk, and I talk to other festivals about that kind of stuff. And I'm sure filmmakers talk about, how festivals sort of require premieres that may or may not necessarily positively impact their film.
Yeah. Festival organizers do talk to each other. So, Paul, you want to answer that question live? So answer that question.
So, yes, I have actually volunteered for the GI Film Festival. I don't think they played in DC for a while. I know they played in California. They had a festival there, but yeah. The uniqueness about film festivals in DC is that we all know when we're playing. So.
Yep, Paul, your screen froze, Paul. Yep. Oh, well, we'll give Paul, we'll see if Paul comes back. His screen froze a bit. So let's see.
Can I mention something?
Yes,
like,
please. Oh, wait, Paul's back. Paul, you froze for a minute.
Oh, sorry. we know when different festivals are playing, you know, because we make sure that we're not stepping on another festival, because we've have, you know, so many niche and so many festivals that we can do that, where there's a lot more cooperation between the festivals, especially when it comes to venues and renting venues. We don't have as many theaters as we would like. So we make sure that there's enough space between us and that we're not overlapping too much.
Yeah. So Ida, you were about to say something? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's just two smaller things that I would suggest. One thing is to keep in mind the dates of the festivals that you want to submit in advance, so that it's not the end of the world to submit an unfinished film, but it's not doing you any favors. So I would recommend against that, even though, you know, shit happens, excuse my language, and sometimes you have to. But I would avoid that. Also, budget for submissions. Like, plan that in your pre-production and during your production. We see so many times that people budget for the full film. They pay for the camera, they pay for the crew, they pay for the editing, and then they don't budget for submissions. And it's not the best introduction to a film festival to ask to get in for free. We understand that sometimes some filmmakers are in a real clinch, and we will be able to sometimes accommodate them through special programs like our BIPOC program and inclusion program. But those overwhelming amounts of emails trying to get into the festival for free, it's not the best way to introduce yourself. I was once in a film school in New York where one of the teachers said that was a great way to introduce yourself. And now that I work as film festivals myself, it's not.
It's not. No.
That's it. Yeah.
It's not.
And then I wanted to mention something that doesn't have to do with film festivals, but something that could be cool to do while you're making your film is to set up some social media where audiences can follow the production of your film. That way you gather or you create a community that's rooting for your film a long time before it's even done. So you will have that power shoot basically when you're like done with the film, a whole community already excited about it. You can put up behind the scenes, the stills, updates, just anything fun there. It's quite a lot of action going into making a film, and it would be great to share that with the audiences.
I just want to add one quick point about budgeting in film. You know, when you're talking about distribution and whatnot, one thing I always say to filmmakers, it's okay to pay yourself. Add that to your budget, especially like if you're, you know, trying to get credits from your film office or you're filling out a grant. It's okay to pay yourself, so you can budget that, you know, as well as paying for an editor or, you know, whatever. Just keep that in mind, because they're, you know, I also review grant applications and I'm always like, so I don't see how you paid for yourself. Like, you know, what are you just donating your time? But you know, a lot of filmmakers just don't budget to pay themselves, and they're just maxing out their credit cards and whatnot. And you know, film is slowly getting traction where there's getting more and more money into indie films. So just consider that.
That is awesome. Festival organizers should do that in grant proposals too, but I don't know. I never do that. We should, shouldn't we?
Just to interject one more time.
Yes.
With festivals, you know, working with other film festivals, I'd like to always remind festivals that we're exhibitors. You know, when you say reviewing grant applications, I've learned from other reviewers that when they hear the word festival, they think of entertainment. And film goes beyond entertainment. You can do a lot of things with film. We need to think of ourselves as exhibitors, like a museum does with paintings and a theater does with a playwright, and start putting ourselves in that kind of sphere. And I think that would start to change how we get funding. You know, if we move beyond the idea that we're just about the Avengers and Real Housewives, and there's just, you know, hundreds and hundreds of indie films making by people that you pass on a bus to the supermarket, I think we can get more funding for more filmmakers to make more films, so we can exhibit more films and have more screenings.
Can I jump in there with that just for a second? I think one of the things that we also have to think about as well, we are in a field that on one hand tries to be very inclusive, and yet because we are exhibitors, we often find ourselves not being nearly as accessible as we could be or should be. We are exhibitors, and we need to be thinking about how do we include the audience in this process as much as possible. There's a lot of old theaters that some of us have access to that are just not accessible. There's a lot of people making films right now that 25, 30 years ago, that was some rich guy's nephew. Now there's a lot of different people. Filmmakers look a lot differently than they did then. And we need to make sure that we're finding ways to include them and open up this community that we keep talking about. You're absolutely right. We're exhibitors, and that comes with finding ways to make that exhibition accessible.
Awesome. All right, so now this question I've put off. It was one of the first questions asked, but I put it off because. So any advice for someone who would want to start their own film festival? What are their first steps? Everybody's like, yes, I think all of us are like, don't do it. Take up drinking instead. Like, throw your money out the window. It's cheaper. Tracy, Jason, you're on. You want to start?
Well, I was just going to say, it's the scene from Say Anything. I've seen the future. Go back.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And if you do it, you have to understand that, there's no money in it. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of frustration. And those are the good days.
Yeah, you're going to just work all the time. You're going to have, like, I do this festival with a friend of mine, and we haven't lately, but there were at least the first 7 years, there'd always come the point in the festival where we stood out in the street and screamed at each other for an hour and threatened over who got to quit. I see me laughing. Like, we've been better the last 2 years, but we have definitely argued. It is so much more work than I ever thought it would be. So, Mia, you.
Yeah, and think about why you personally want to start a film festival. Have you volunteered with your local film festival? Does your town not have a film festival? Does your town not have that genre? The best way to learn is to actually volunteer for an established film festival. If your town doesn't have one, maybe the next town over, you could volunteer for Sundance. You can volunteer at Slam Dance. Figure out what you're getting into before you just jump in. There's a reason why 75% of film festivals don't make it to their 5th year. Because everybody thinks it's super fun and not the work side. It is super fun, but there's also work. So volunteer and figure out why you want to do this, because yay, we need more platforms, but make sure you get some training. You're not going to drive a car without training. You're not going to do a lot of things without training. So don't start a film festival unless you at least volunteer for one festival.
Yes, volunteer for your local festival. See what Ashley, I would definitely recommend that project management experience is very important. From our team, we have, my partner is the film guy and the artist, and I'm a project manager. And having the two sets of skills, I think, you need to have a project plan. You need to be willing to keep a schedule. You need to be able to track all the data around a festival, all the bits, like who's buying tickets, where's the venue, where are your speakers, who has to be where, when, what does this happen, when is this grant proposal due, when do you have to send, who can you send when to go pick up what from which sponsor? Like the logistics is surprising. But I mean, seriously, like if somebody wants to start a festival, so what would you say? Volunteer at your local festival for at least a year, see what actually has to happen. What else?
I would also just, I think Mia said it, is just see what your community is missing and try and fill that niche. I did not start out to start a film festival. I started out to volunteer with a film festival because I came from working at the Gen Art Festival in New York, and I was moving back to LA, and I just wanted to volunteer my time with a film festival in the Valley, which is where I grew up, and there wasn't one. And also 21 years ago, we only had like 5 or 10 festivals in LA. Now we have 200 or more. So I was filling a niche that that wasn't there before. So just that's what I would just expand upon. If you have a passion, like maybe for trains or whatever, try and create a festival around what excites you, especially since you will not be paid and you will be working long hours, and it'll be wonderful though. It'll be very fulfilling. When you see that one film that's just like, this is why I do it.
Yeah, you always get one filmmaker like every year that makes you like you're floating, like all the work was worth it. And you also we don't get it every year, but every couple of years there's the filmmaker that, you know, you spend 10 minutes crying in the bathroom, you know, out of just exhaustion. And yeah, definitely have a focus. I think is really important. And we didn't have that. When we started, we just sort of knew we wanted a film festival, but we were kind of vague about what that really meant. And it probably took us like 2 years to really solidify our focus on that. It would have been nice if we'd gone into it with a better idea. I always tell people when they ask me, you know, join the Film Festival Organizers group on Facebook, because it's the most active Facebook group I've ever seen. Like, if you need advice when you're trying to do something, like you could, you know, post that you're looking for film festival organizers for a talk, and you could get 25 responses within 2 hours. You know, it really is an amazing group. But yeah, figure out for a festival, you want to figure out where you're going to get funding. How much does it really cost to get a venue? What connections do you have to venues? What skills do your friends have? Because you are going to be tapping your friends. Like, I learned Photoshop because I kept tapping my friends to do it. And finally, one of them showed me because he was tired of me asking him. You know, who of your friends might be able to show you how to make a press release? Who of your friends has a car and is willing to drive? If you live in New York, like, who has a car? And can you tap them to drive your stuff around when you need to go pick up heavy things? That's always useful, I would say. What else? Let's see. If you wanted to start a film festival, what would you tell people?
I would also add, make sure you document everything. Make sure you have everything on paper, because as you go from year to year, that data is going to be very important.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're, let's say, year 3, you know, a funder may ask you what your, you know, ticket buyer makeup looks like. Well, if you have that data, it becomes a lot easier to answer. So make sure you document everything, because you're not only documenting what worked, but also what didn't work. So you don't make that same mistakes. And, you know, you may be the director for the first 2 years, but the 3rd and 4th year might be someone different, and the 5th year might be someone different. And if they have something to work with, then they're not, you know, recreating the wheel. And then I would also just emphasize again, yeah, volunteering is very important. And it's not just volunteering to take tickets or whatnot, but you may also want to volunteer as a reviewer. Then you can get a more intimate look at what kind of films they're looking at, or, you know, if there is a specific genre that they're looking, you know, for, or whatever. That's very important. And not only, you know, volunteering for film festivals, but if you have opportunities to review grant applications, that's always very, very educational, because then you could see what, you know, grant reviewers are looking at, you know, because, you know, I do grant reviewing for my arts commission, and I sit on these panels with other artists. So it's not like you have to have a background, you know, because artists are reviewing applications in a different lens than, you know, a fundraiser like me looks at them. So, you know, volunteering is probably the best way to get the most education about a festival, and about the industry in general too.
Actually, I think volunteering as a submissions judge, I suggest that all the time to film students. Volunteer for any film festival is always looking for submission judges. You could watch a whole lot of films, and it's a really good way to learn in a hurry what's important in a film. You know, you learn about like what's a good length for a film and how long credits should be just by watching a lot of films.
We've had several filmmakers say that. They're like, it's really helped us with our filmmaking by being a screener.
Yeah. Yeah, you go watch 100 films, you know, short films that range from terrible to great, and you learn pretty quickly what actually makes a film great. So.
Can I also add something that I think is really important if you start a new festival is to start small. Don't chew over too much in the very beginning. Start with, we actually just started a small niche festival here in Oslo a few months before Corona. So that was fantastic. But we did have 1 year before Corona hit. And we had a roof. We did not want to have more than 100 people per screening, because we wanted to create an intimate feeling. So that was a roof, and we only showed over the course of 3 days 4 films. So we had 1 film a day that we could really give the focus to. So start small and then build out. Make it really great, the few screenings you have, instead of having many kind of okay screenings. Also get the local community involved. I think that's just beyond important. And I don't mean by just hanging up some posters and maybe getting a local press release. I mean, like, get them really involved, have them volunteer. What we did, for example, is that we set up a lot of free screenings for like half a year before the festival actually started, with just little niblets of what we were going to do. Where one of the days we showed films made of the local community from just our neighborhood, which was a huge hit, right? Because then the audiences, they feel like this is something that's made for them and they're part of this. And those people, they're going to be there every single year. They're not going anywhere. They're your neighbors. So those are my two tips. Start small and engage the local community.
Anyone else? Any more advice for someone who thinks it's a good idea to give up all their free time to run a festival? With all your money and all
research. Do your research.
Yeah.
Well, Paul has talked about budgets a lot. I think a key thing that people forget about is it costs something to do these things. During COVID, a lot of theaters were selling out. You could come rent your theater out for $100 and show a movie. Not all theaters, now that everybody's going to be able to get back into them, are going to be able to get to do that for $100. And if that's what happens, if you do nothing but just give your money away, think about that. This is what it's going to cost to have this festival and what we're trying to achieve, and assume that you're going to not make anything back, and then figure out if that's what you're willing to do.
Yeah. And learn to love data. If you don't love data right now, either learn to love data or find a friend who loves data. Like, there's just more data than you could ever imagine involved just between people and films and sponsors and all that. Now, I'm the data girl, which is why I wound up on this project and stuck around, because I love data. Yeah, if you don't love data, you need to find someone who does. It's that simple. You have to have someone who loves data on your team, or you're always going to be looking for stuff and dropping things. So, or someone who could fake loving data because they have no choice. Maybe that's it. But all right. So let's see. So now I have a question. Let's find it here. So this is about distribution and how our festivals, how do you bring in, how can festivals help to get distribution? How do you bring audiences in for films that don't have distribution? And what can festivals do to help films get distribution? And distribution is an interesting question, because there's right now, it's starting to look almost like short films are starting to get more distribution now than they were, say, 5 years ago. But but it's still hard for shorts. It's definitely easier for features. But Tracy, you're nodding the most, so you get to talk about distribution first.
Sure. Well, fortunately, we are in Los Angeles, so we do have access to more distributors here than other cities in between New York and Los Angeles. And we try and engage distributors year round, just not wanting anything, but just to stay top of mind and, build relationships. Unfortunately, because of COVID, a lot of our distribution contacts have changed. So we are in the process of reintroducing ourselves to companies. But our festival does have a, well, first of all, for every feature that we program, we have a person dedicated to reaching out to distributors on their behalf. We also have a mini market to get those filmmakers, the producers of those filmmakers in front of distributors and to ask them questions. So, but to your point, we are seeing that the opportunities for short filmmakers are definitely more than there were before. And I think this year we're going to focus a little bit more on our short filmmakers because of that. But yeah, sorry. Did I answer your question?
You did. Awesome. Anyone else want to take a shot at festival and how festivals engage distribution? What do we do to bring in audiences that don't have distributors? I know in New York, New Yorkers are pretty jaded. But surprisingly, the people from Netflix who are based in New York turn up at a surprising number of film festivals quietly. Like we know some people who work at Netflix and we've seen them around at festivals. Like you don't know who is a distributor as a filmmaker, and the festival doesn't necessarily know either. But certainly in the larger cities, probably Atlanta also has distributors showing up. Not sure how many distributors are hanging out in DC, but definitely New York, LA, Atlanta. Distributors do turn up at the festival.
Someone mentioned earlier about starting your social media early in the process. And I will admit that given a choice between two films, if we see that a film has a strong social media following, we'd be more interested in that film. And my belief is festivals can help films be able to build that following as they go through. And that becomes I've heard from distributors that that's something that is attractive to them. If not necessarily a particular film, then a particular filmmaker. That you being able to build that audience that will grow with you from film to film becomes something that they're interested in when it comes time for them to look for someone.
Yeah, and I suggest to filmmakers that it's always, the festival is primarily promoting the festival. And the festival will promote some of the individual films, but they're promoting the festival as a whole. It is always a good idea to send out a press release about your film that it's screening. And most of the festivals can give you a press release template, or you could just look online and find something. Like, they're pretty straightforward to make your film sound exciting and that it's screening, and that does get seen. It's always a good idea to do stuff like that.
I did want to add something else about distributors. Just as there are scammy festivals out there, there are a lot of scammy distributors. And by being part of a festival community, again, you hear from filmmakers who got paid on time from a distributor, who did not require marketing money. So it's always a good thing to just be part of a community and ask questions. And festivals that do have relationships with distributors or a market component, or any type of sales component to it, we're doing most of that vetting for you. There was only one time last year not last year, but the year before, where the person who was in charge of reaching out to all these distributors brought back someone that was kind of shady. And so since then, I now make it now there's checks and balances. Now, multiple people have to look into this person just to make sure that if our name is behind that this person is legit and not going to scam you, we want to make sure that that's true.
Yeah, we've had some scammy people turn up at the festival and try and pick up filmmakers, and yeah, it's hard to chase them out. But
we do two different things. We usually bring in distributors to talk about distribution rather than coming to solicit filmmakers. They talk about distribution, different aspects, and what.
Oh, Paul, you're freezing again. Paul frozen for all y'all? I see his head, but not his sound. Oh, now he's frozen all the way.
He's frozen.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, we've done that as well. We do. Oh, Paul, wait, there you go. Paul, you're going in and out. We lost you again.
Sorry, my internet is unstable, it says.
Yes, your network bandwidth is low, it says.
I'm on an island in Rhode Island, so.
Oh.
But we have distributors come in, do talks, and then we work with, here in DC, we work with the Washington Area Lawyers for the Arts, where we do different clinics. So filmmakers can ask all the questions, whether it's distribution contracts or just any other kind of contracts and whatnot, so that they're protected.
Yeah, we do a distribution panel every year that is always super popular, just because it's hard. There's all sorts of different kinds of distribution. There's contracts, there's scammers, and it is a good way to meet and actually talk to people. So anyone else? Anything else you want to say on the topic? Are we cool? Mia, you've been quiet? No.
Just wait.
Okay. All right, well, we've got just excuse me, a couple minutes left. I'm trying to, is there anything we have not talked about that you think that we should say? Any of y'all? Yes, Mia. Yay.
The filmmakers, we kind of touched on it a little bit. They have to promote their films.
Yes.
So getting into a film festival, unfortunately, is just a small part. So when you get there, the media gets tired of hearing from us. But if you're the local, your grandma's from that town, or local boy does good, or you have a unique angle, send those press releases, wear your lanyard everywhere. People love meeting filmmakers. Get 1,000 postcards printed, but leave a space. So when you get into all of our festivals, you can put a label, Arizona International Film Festival, this is the date, this is where it's getting screened. And if you can't make the film festival, send your postcards already with the labels to that film festival. Do buttons, get shirts, go to the local diner and give the waitress a shirt, if they don't have uniforms, or your Uber guy, leave programs in the Uber, give the Uber guy a hat. But you've got a blanket and go to other people's films and work the lines going, here's my postcard, hope to see you at my film, and just work the line and really, really work to get people to see your film.
Yeah, definitely go to other people's films. When your film is in a festival and you are able to attend, go see other people's films and talk to each other, and you'll go to their film, they'll go to your film, you'll talk to each other, you'll make friends. That's the whole point, to make those.
I couldn't support what Mia is saying more. We love active filmmakers, and that definitely means come to the festival. I mean, attend the festival for sure. But even if you don't, there are ways to be active, just like Mia was saying, send postcards, etc. But also join the social media groups. Join them in advance and then reach out to the other filmmakers who's going to be at the festival. That way you will already know somebody there when you come up there, and you guys can plan a little bit and get excited, etc. It's kind of like going to camp. right? I mean, the more enthusiasm and energy and fun you bring in, the more fun it's gonna be for you. I also want to underline what Stephanie was saying about go to the other films. Don't be that filmmaker who show up just for your own film and then leave afterwards. That does get noticed. It's just not a cool thing, and you're missing out on making so many awesome friends and a good film community. Yeah, and also like definitely reach out to us. I mean, we send a lot of emails to the filmmakers, but once you're in and it's not the emails to get submission fee waivers, send us an email, introduce yourself. We love those kind of filmmakers who we immediately get like a bond with, because then we know who you are too, you know. It does make a difference. It definitely does. And I can say it like this: the filmmakers who's been to our festival and who have been active and sort of brought the energy, they have a tendency to come back, not necessarily with films, but maybe as a programmer or as a guest juror. We love having those filmmakers involved also in the future. So be that filmmaker.
Perfect. All right, Paul, final words. 30 seconds. Anything else?
Just get more involved, do your research, get organized.
And don't be a jerk. If you don't get accepted to a festival, you know, it doesn't mean your film sucks. It might, but it generally doesn't mean your film sucks. There's only so many minutes we have to screen. If you don't get accepted, you know, being a jerk to the festival isn't going to help your cause. We do talk to each other. And there's films that we've loved that we haven't been able to take, but I've recommended them to other festivals. I do that all the time. So yeah, be nice to your friendly neighborhood film festival organizer. We work hard, we love movies. We're doing our best. Be nice to us and we will do our best for you. So yeah, Tracy, final thoughts, final words, anything?
Oh my gosh, you took the words out of my mouth. Just don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk, yeah.
Not to us, and definitely not to our volunteers.
Yeah.
Because we have a filmmaker agreement. If you are nasty to one of our film volunteers, you're out of there. It's just, they're volunteering their time. If you want to yell at someone, yell at me, but please don't yell at me, because I've done that.
You know, don't yell at me either. I know, like that.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yay. All right. So Jason, last one. Last
the
thought.
best thing, I think that's the best thing, is just don't be a jerk. This is a small community. We said it all night. We talk to each other, and on top of that, the other people there at the festival talk to each other. If everybody knows you, great. Or maybe everybody knows you and that's not great, but you have a choice, and however that is, everybody's going to find out. And
festivals really will like knock themselves out to help you in any way they can. Like I think of just across the board, people who run indie film festivals are doing it because they love the event, they love dealing with the filmmakers, and they will do anything they can. But so yeah, don't be mean to us. We get upset. Like, yeah, be nice to us. We're working hard. We're doing our best. So, all right. So we are just at time. Thank you, everybody. It's been a real pleasure to actually meet you all in semi-person. And I hope to actually meet you in real life one of these days. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody who attended. We have recorded the session. I'll talk to you guys about posting it. But yeah, so that is it. We're done. So check us out tomorrow night, Producing 101. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care,
Thanks,
guys.
Stephanie.
Yay. Good night.
Good night.